Alright folks, we've returned. Let's start case number 10. Thanks to these three for helping me out. Hey, hope you have an appetite for a new case. Alexandre Bourbonnais, the owner of Marseillan's restaurant, was found dead. He keeled over after the restaurant closed for the night. It takes months to get a reservation there, but tonight our investigation is the main course. Okay. Currently under unlimited energy. Or 5-hand happy hour, I should say, for this game. That one I like most because it can find the get the stars easier. Roast duck. Oh, there we are. Monkey.
Chicken strip basket instead of those little nuggets. Wow, that's a big meat. You got a big appetite.
Any idea what might have killed our restaurateur, Mr. Bourbonnais, Dave? Not sure yet. No obvious signs of trauma. No blood around the body. We'll have to wait until we get him back to the lab. He could have been poisoned. His stomach is huge. Feels strange, almost bloated. Send his blood for a tox screen. Could be just a heart attack. Doesn't look like he's in the best shape. Thanks, David. I'll stay here and check out the scene. Maybe you should head back to the coroner for the autopsy results, and while you're there, let's take a close look at the tablecloth. Sounds like a good idea, except I gotta get some stars, so sit tight. Alright, I got 9 stars. Let's get the red tablecloth out of the way. I'm going to make sure, since I'm under this 5-hint happy hour, I'm going to get every single star by the time I start filming again. Oh my goodness. Only 1 energy. Why do they have to have these stains that don't even match? That's my biggest problem with this game. Whoever pulled this tablecloth from the table caused Mr. Bourbonnais' beer to fall over. Your killer will have a beer stain on them. We can narrow down our suspects with that beer stain. We should talk to the waiter. He might have some info on who was around the Vic when he died. Brad Hems is his name. And he has a beer stain. When Mr. Bourbonnais had his last supper, did you notice anyone else around him? Well, you see, I don't know. I went out back to have a cigarette. It was a long day, and the first chance I had, I snuck away. So you didn't bring him his dinner. Do you know who did? Alex is always a prig. Thought he could do everything better himself. I wouldn't be surprised if he cooked his own meal. Thanks, Brad. I noticed you have a beer stain on your shirt. How'd that happen? Oh, hazards of the job. With all the food and drink stains I get all the local dry cleaners know my name. If Brad's telling the truth, then anyone could have snuck in and killed Mr. Bourbonnais. We'll need to find more evidence to get a contained list of suspects. We still don't have the murder weapon. Check back in with Nick and look for a bloody knife. The kitchen is a great place to start the search. Microwave, peppermill, rich paper. Good thinking. We haven't found the knife, but it may have come from this knife block. Someone also ripped up this document pretty good, and it's going to take a lot of patience to put it back together. Let's see what they were trying to hide. .516 and rich paper. A closing notice. Okay, so this is strange. From these papers, looks like Marcien's restaurant was going to close in a week due to financial problems. Any one of those employees would be upset to find out they were about to lose their job because of Alexandre Bourbonnais, and all he had left to lose was his life. I think it's time we take a closer look at the restaurant. Wine bottle. Where the heck is that hourglass? Oh, there it is. Overtake 200 friends. Cool. I got another accomplishment. Seems Alexandre Bourbonnais' last meal was some type of fish. Maybe this plate will help us find out more info about the victim or the killer. Help us find out more info. 212. See you guys when all these are done. Alright folks, we've returned. All three of these things are done. I got pretty much all the stars in the current crime scenes, save for the new one that I have not gotten to yet. Let's get the results of the autopsy. Our victim didn't die of poisoning or a heart attack. He died from a stab wound to his gut that punctured his appendix. He bled internally. That doesn't make sense. There would have been blood at the crime scene. Normally, yes, but Mr. Bourbonnais is a large man. He was stabbed waist level. His stomach sealed up the entrance wound and the blood pooled inside. Could you tell me anything about the murder weapon? You should be looking for a sharp object about 8 inches in length and maybe 3 inches wide. Also, the wound suggests the killer is left-handed. Those specs sound like it's a large knife. The restaurant will have a plethora of knives. Finding the murder weapon won't be easy. I don't really know why it's not letting me share when I get a new level. There are a few knives missing from this block, and one of them is a chef's knife, about 8 inches long, the same length as our possible murder weapon. The busboy, Jamie Reitz, is accountable for all utensils and dinerware at Marcien's. Maybe he could tell us where the knife is. He's got a stain too. Thanks for coming in, Jamie. We noticed that a chef's knife was missing from the kitchen. Any idea where it might be? Should be in the block. Wait, do you think someone stole it when Mr. Bourbonnaise had his heart attack? No, we think someone stabbed Mr. Bourbonnaise with the chef's knife. Stabbed? Who would do that? That's what we're trying to figure out. Who had access to the knife? It never leaves the kitchen, so only someone who works here could get back there and know where we keep it. Anyone else would have been noticed. Looks like the killer is someone who works at the restaurant. Could be Jamie. And the dining plate. The plate has traces of fugu fish, a Japanese delicacy which, if not prepared properly, can be highly poisonous. I checked it out and guess what? It wasn't prepared properly. So it looks like someone was trying to poison Alexandre Bourbonnaise. Maybe Mr. Bourbonnaise realized it might be poisonous, so the killer stabbed him instead. The plate should have some good fingerprints on it. I can't even stand the smell of fish myself. My dad won't even eat fish either. My dad won't eat fish. I can't stand the smell. Got it. Wow, you pulled some great prints from the plate, and we found a match to one of the workers at Marcien's restaurant. The prints match the chef, Sean Marticos, who probably prepared the fugu fish. It's time we have a talk with him. Pretty obvious that he works at the restaurant too. Let's see what Sean Marticos has to say. Chef Marticos, we found your fingerprints on this plate that was used to serve Mr. Bourbonnaise's last meal. Makes sense since you're the chef. The thing is, his last meal was fugu fish that was prepared improperly. Looks like you were trying to poison Mr. Bourbonnaise. Haha, poison Mr. Bourbonnaise through food? I'm the only one who could be a suspect. Seems pretty dumb. I never prepared the fish. I wouldn't know how to. Not my specialty. He had it brought in specially. I just put it on a plate and garnished it. Put it on a plate? And where did you get the fish from? From the cold room next to the kitchen. He bought it that afternoon, asked me to bring it out to him after all the customers left. I did, then left. Went out back to my car to listen to the radio. It's how I relax. But if you're looking for a killer, you got the wrong chef. The chef says he just pulled it from the cold room. If that's true, there might be more of the fish that's in there. Let's see if his story cooks. didn't get any stars here yet because I did want to start... Did want to start rationally here. Just wait until I'm more familiar with the crime scene. I could probably get away with it in criminal case, but criminal case is kind of like... There we go, fugu fish. Criminal case is kind of like a little more forgiving with their crime scenes. If you know what I mean. There we go. Nice, 200 coins. This looks like the fugu fish that Mr. Bourbonnais brought in. Let's get it back to the lab and see if the chef's story checks out. Oh well. Sorry guys, tablet ran out of room, but I got it anyway. It was down to 1 energy. Good job processing these slices of fugu fish. They were definitely not prepared correctly. It is loaded with tetrodotoxin, enough to kill 10 people. Either these weren't prepared by a professional, or someone purposefully poisoned these fish slices. There's a list of people with access to the cold room. Let's talk to them, starting with the bartender, Dana Dibbs, who I hear used to date the victim. Dana, I understand you used to have a relationship with Alexandre Bourbonnais. I guess you could call it that. I call it a lapse in judgment, followed by him wasting 3 years of my life and dumping me for a younger model. He broke up with you to date someone younger? Must have made you pretty angry. Yeah, but we move on. I have a new man in my life, Sean. You know him, the chef. He's 10 times the man Alex was. We were curious if you saw anything strange in the cold room yesterday. Strange? Not really, but you should ask Carrie. She handles the inventory now. She's Alex's new and younger girlfriend. Looks like Dana still carries some resentment, but Alexandra was dating the hostess Carrie? Would have given her plenty of time to be alone with him. Carrie Dulles. Of course, I am under unlimited 5-hint happy hour, so I'll be able to get this case done fast. Carrie, we know you were dating Alex Bourbonnais. Why didn't you come forward earlier? What's it matter? I have nothing to do with what happened. So then you must know who killed Alexandre Bourbonnais. No, I don't. He was okay, but he was pretty distant lately. We were growing apart. I wanted to eat with him, but he told me to go away, to go home. I stayed anyway. Just hung out in the break room and read a book. I figured he'd be nicer after he had some food in his stomach, but poor Alex. One more thing. How'd you get that stain on your blouse? Oh, this? I was having a beer in the break room. I must have gotten some on myself. I can be such a klutz sometimes. Chapter's done. This girl's a whirlwind of emotions and matches our killer's profile so far. I'll keep her at the station in case you have any more questions. Obviously, every one of our suspects works at the restaurant. They all had a reason to kill Alexander Bourbonnais, and no one seems upset he's gone. We're going to need more evidence to narrow down our suspect list. Sean Marticos. I don't think he's the one. I didn't see a stain on his outfit. Let me see. Yeah. No stain. Alright, I'll start Chapter 2 after I collect all the stars. Alright, folks, we've returned. Let's start Chapter 2. Alright, we have 5 suspects and a pretty good start on our killer's profile. We know that the victim was about to lose the business through bad financial investments, so any one of these workers could have been upset with him. We still need to find the murder weapon, a chef's knife. Nick has the scene locked down. Head down to the restaurant and give him a hand. Beer glass. Oh, there. There we go. Another poker chip, cool. The killer might have touched this beer glass. It's a great source for prints, but we'll need to restore it first. We should also talk to the busboy, Jamie. I hear Mr. Bourbonnais was yelling at him. I got all the stars in the other crime scenes, in the cold room, and even the bonus. I have no idea why I can't even pick this up. There we are, finally! Boy, was that a major hassle. Nice job restoring the glass. Now let's put some powder on it and check for fingerprints. Cool, 6 energy. Turns out the drink was spiked with sleeping pills. Prints from the victim's beer glass matched one of our suspects, Dana Dibbs. But that doesn't help us. Dana's the bartender. Of course her prints were on the glass. Dana is the bartender, but her prints were the only prints on the beer glass. Now that seems suspicious. You're right, that does seem suspicious. Maybe you should have a word with her about that and the sleeping pills. Hi Dana, so we looked into it and it turns out that Alexandra's beer was spiked with sleeping pills, and yours are the only prints on the glass. You're thinking, so what, mix alcohol and pills, right? Well, maybe you poisoned his fish as well, but when he didn't touch either, you stabbed him, and you are left-handed, I presume. No, you have it all wrong. I wasn't trying to kill him. I only wanted to knock him out. And yes, how did you know I was left-handed? Marcienne's got a bad review. Alex screamed at Sean all day for it. I was afraid he'd fire Sean, so I just tried to get Alex to pass out. Alexander was screaming at Sean for the bad review? Yes, Sean was upset. He has a short temper. I was afraid what might happen, so I figured if Alex fell asleep, everyone would be calmer tomorrow. Oh wait, but I didn't mean it like that. Sean would never hurt anyone. So Sean was angry at Alex. He forgot to tell us about that. It's almost too obvious that a chef would use a chef's knife as a murder weapon. Sean, we heard that Alex was rotting you all day in the kitchen for a bad review. He pushed your buttons, didn't he? Yes, the imbecile. That review was not my fault. Alex was purchasing subpar ingredients. How was I supposed to work with that? I could have killed him. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I was just upset about him blaming me. Yeah, odd choice of words. Maybe you meant I killed him? No, I wouldn't give him the satisfaction. He deserved a slow death. More like a poisoning. No. Look, I'm an artist and a passionate man, but I am not a killer. I think it's time I talk to a lawyer. Sean did everything but confess to murder. He must have hidden the knife somewhere on the premises. See what Jamie Reitz has to say now. We heard that Alexander was yelling at you for something. Could you tell us why? Oh, that. Yeah, that was because I broke a case of glasses earlier in the day. He said he was going to dock my paycheck. Which really sucked, man. That would have been like a whole day's work. My check's not getting docked now, right? Very convenient for you. Hey, I'm not going to kill someone over a few bucks, but I do know Mr. Bourbonnais was gripping tight onto some paper. And someone tore it up. We know about that. No, not that paper. It was some kind of letter. He wrote it himself. Held onto it all night. A handwritten letter. We haven't seen anything like that. If he had it all night, it might still be at the restaurant. By the way, suspect profiling confirms that Jamie is left-handed. Right away, I could tell. Right away, we can immediately eliminate Sean Marticos because he doesn't even have a stain on his chef's outfit. There we go. There we go. I wanted to get all the stars so I wouldn't have to stop so frequently like I did on Case 9. If someone was going to hide something, throwing it out is a good idea. Get the trash can back to the lab. $744 more. Aha! Suicide letter. Great find! This is a suicide letter written by Alex. Turns out he poisoned his own fugu fish and was going to kill himself. But maybe he changed his mind. Check it for prints and see what you can find. Got it. 7. The fingerprints on the letter are a match to Mr. Bourbonnais' girlfriend, Carrie. Let's talk to her. Carrie, we found Alexander Bourbonnais' suicide letter, but then again, so did you. We have your prints to prove you threw it out. It was terrible. I didn't want the world to think that he had killed himself while dating me, and when I saw him dead, I tossed it. I really thought that he tried to kill himself until you told me he was stabbed. I'm sorry I threw out the letter. Or maybe you were trying to cover up after yourself. Why would I do that? I had no reason to hurt him. He was good to me. Sending you away, not wanting to be around you, maybe it was more than your ego could handle. Haha, that's ridiculous. Look at me, I liked him because he had money, but there's plenty more of those guys in Vegas. Mr. Bourbonnais might have wanted to take his own life, but somebody beat him to it. We need to find the murder weapon or this case is going nowhere. We'll see you for Chapter 3. Alright folks, we've returned to start Chapter 3. This case is running us in circles. It's time we check what doesn't lie, the evidence. Let's see what else the kitchen has to say. There we go.
In an affordable dream kitchen that works as hard as you do. Get 50% back at the kitchen event.
Barcode.
I'm here with some advice from the future.
Timer marker pen. Cool. This charred paper is interesting. Looks like somebody was trying to burn evidence. Good job. Diner Beware is what it's called.
I don't need any special deals, I'll tell you everything. I met Jim Anderson at the magazine. He was nice to me, especially after he
Okay.
I've made it real clear that I wouldn't get involved with them. So you're saying you knew Anderson? That's right. When Jim found out I had medical bills I couldn't pay, he insisted on giving me money. I took
Oh.
his money, but I told him I would sleep with him as long as he was engaged. He told me he was
I can't pull much from this letter yet, but there are some readable words on the charred paper. However, you'll need to restore the paper before I can make any sense of them. Hold on.
They had an affair, and it was her idea to lie about the driver.
And he says it was his idea and they weren't having an affair.
And there's no forensics implicating either one in the murder.
Fantastic.
I can see Jim's motive to kill his fiancée, but I don't see M's motive.
Well, this means let's see if Detective Lupin hadn't jumped into the sack with him as again. Your bigger problem is the blood evidence implicating the driver. Starting that out by now. The specimen 49 finds out his car is Daisy Child's blood. You stand by that? Absolutely.
The woman who said he attacked her admitted she lied. He knew the fiancée's the prime suspect.
You were close to Daisy Child, right? Yeah, she's like a kid sister. So you'd be willing to go the extra mile to make sure a killer got convicted? Mr. Bird, if we could figure out this blood evidence and other recent evidence, well, then we'd have to prove it.
Okay.
Tested the wear from Daisy's trash. It tested positive for immature DNA.
Okay, over to you, Hodges. I found a few key choice threatening words from the restored pieces. Unfortunately, there are still some blanks in the text. I'll pass the proverbial book back to you and find who penned the letter and to whom.
It tested negative for a gene for chronic kidney disease. Yeah, that's her. I'm in the club off Harvard Square. She told me she wrote music reviews.
Bourbonnais
She told me she had a whole other and she couldn't afford the operation to fix it.
insulted me.
Tests, mags, the whole 9 yards, and then you come to find out she's running
Brad.
some scam on some guy over in San
What's it called? 611 for
It's
trouble.
finished. There are walks in a half dozen cities where girl matching in this description and it looks as if
Finally, we have a result. This threatening letter is from Brad Hems, addressed to Alexandra Bourbonnais. So the waiter Brad wrote the letter to threaten Alexander Bourbonnais right before he died. Maybe Brad can fill us in with more details.
they get into it. Daisy kills, got arrested, Emma kills. This release won't allow the charges against that Captain Detective testimony. I'm sure you understand.
Brad, we found the letter that he wrote to Alexander Bourbonnais, threatening him.
This part will be testifying.
What letter? Don't play that game. Some indandion zinc, a little backlighting, and we can read what people try to burn away.
You have a daughter my age, Judge. Wouldn't you want her to have a fair trial?
Let your lawyer speak for you, Miss Kim. Why aren't you glad you
Okay, I wrote that, but it's not what you think. I was threatening to quit to get a raise, not threatening his life.
Nice try, Gary.
And let me guess, Alex burned it. So what? You were humiliated, decided to stab him while he ate? No, I decided against quitting. After he yelled at Sean all day for the bad review, then at the busboy outside the cold room, I figured maybe it wasn't the best time. But I didn't murder Alex. How could I do something like that? And if you're accusing me, then I want a lawyer.
Personal relationship.
So some action took place outside the cold room. Let's take another look. Maybe there was something we missed.
Fabricated by whom? A medical legal investigator. I see. The New York City Police Department framed an innocent man, and that case fell apart. You went looking
There we
for
go.
more sad to take his
Banana
place.
bunch, pepper mill,
Isn't that when you suggested
dish
you were
towel,
trying to know that I wouldn't say this?
beer can, and bacon.
She invited me into it. You volunteered to walk her home. You took advantage of her being
This knocked over onion sack looks a little suspicious. Better to be safe than sorry. Let's check it back at the lab.
into inviting you in. Plant evidence. Isn't that what you did? You planted evidence. You already admitted violating your oath as a police officer. You admitted to sleeping
A napkin. Well, look what we have here. A napkin certainly doesn't belong inside a sack of onions. Someone was trying to hide this. Get it to Henry and see what he can find.
He said he'd get me in trouble.
2:38. See you guys then. Alright folks, we've returned. Let's get the results of the napkin.
To have her no longer be here is especially difficult.
Melody Gonzalez, KITV, Island News.
I processed the blood from this napkin and it's definitely a match to the victim, Alexander Bourbonnais, and there's a chef's knife wrapped in it. Also, from the height of the shelf the onion sack was stored on, the killer had to have been at least 6 feet tall to reach that hiding spot. The chef's knife is definitely the murder weapon. Let's check it for more evidence. Maybe the killer left something behind. But I have all the stars, so I don't have to worry.
Because the crash is in a remote area, officials work to get their crew safely in and out of the site. Federal investigators who are flying in from Alaska will also be inspecting the area. Neighbors are now wondering if a strange glow in the sky they saw early Tuesday evening was the crash and not the supermoon.
There we go. Oh no, wait, one more. 4. I wish it wouldn't move so fast. So when the killer stabbed the victim, they actually cut their hand on the knife and left behind a good DNA sample. Unfortunately, the killer's DNA wasn't in CODIS, and we don't have any samples to compare against our suspects, but I can tell you this. Your killer is definitely a male. Good work, Henry. Alright, that should wrap up this case. How about you tell Brass who to arrest?
At the Chevron station a half a block away, other longtime friends were saddened to learn of his death.
Okay, it's time to clean the table and put the trash behind bars. Tell me which one of our suspects did it.
Children are said to be flying in.
We know the killer is a left-handed male, at least 6 feet tall, who works at the restaurant and has a beer stain on his clothes. Brad, the waiter, was threatening to quit and had access to all areas of the restaurant, but did he stuff Mr. Bourbonnais after finding out he was losing his job? Carrie, the hostess, was Mr. Bourbonnais' new lover and shows no sympathy for the loss. Could she have stabbed Mr. Bourbonnais after he didn't swoon over her constantly?
There's opportunities for people to give.
Jamie, the busboy, was yelled at earlier in the day and was going to lose some money for broken glasses, but was that enough to kill over? Dana, the bartender, had a high hatred for her ex-lover, Alexander Bourbonnais. She spiked his drink, but did she kill him over how he treated her new lover, Sean Marticos?
Coach Dave showed you reaching a major milestone tonight. Brandy's in.
Sean, the chef, was humiliated professionally by Mr. Bourbonnais for a bad review. But was his reputation worth more than Mr. Bourbonnais' life? Once we press charges, we can check their DNA, but we're going to have to pick the right guy first if we want the charges to stick. Nope. It's not Brad Hems. It's not Sean Marticos. It is not Dana Tibbs. It is definitely Jamie Reitz. If this sticks, then I'm right. Uh-huh. Got him. I gotta be honest with you, Jamie. I wasn't expecting you to kill Mr. Bourbonnais over a few bucks in your check. A few bucks? I didn't kill him over that. I killed him over all his lies. He was my dad. Biological dad, that is. But he refused to admit it. He told me I was just trying to hustle him, that he never met my mom. She told me it was him when she died, but he lied. Jamie, Alexander Bourbonnais was not your father. You're taking his side? I can't believe it. No, Jamie, if he was your father, a DNA familial match would have come up, but it didn't. He really wasn't lying. He wasn't my father? My mom lied to me on her deathbed? I'm sorry, Jamie, but what you did was far worse. You killed a man for telling you the truth. Always a hard time when families and lies are involved. What a tough case. You did a great job on this one. And we'll move on to case 11, and I'll get to that as soon as possible. I'll see y'all then.